Hey everyone, back tuning into today's video. Of course, it's New Year's Eve, so happy New Year's Eve to all of you. We're going to have a look at weather for January in today's video. So we're going to start off with the situation right now, where we're pumping out some very warm air into the Arctic. We'll have a look at weather next week to 10 days. And I also want to have a look at the CFSV2 going out through most of the month as well. So a lot to be going on within today's video. I'll go over all the charts in a second, but before I go on with that, just to say about the ads. There's links to articles on all the pages at Gadget's Office. Have a browse, widgets, and click through links. There's any articles that you're interested in. Thanks so much for doing that. There's also video ads on most pages. They open up the content, we can watch them. They'll close back up again, and it is helping to pay for our website. So thanks so much for getting involved, and thanks for doing that. And just say thanks for all your support, and keep coming back to the website and watching the videos throughout the year. It's been a huge year of growth for Gav's Weather Vids. I'm looking at some of the stats earlier on. We've served nearly getting on for 1 million page views over the year here at the website. It's all down to you folks for keep coming back over the year and watching the videos, reading the blog posts, and all of the other updates that we've had. So big thank you to all of you for your support over 2015. But we've got the video to get on with first of all before I finish off for the year. So let's just have a look at the centering temperature to start off with. So this is how we're standing provisionally for December. We currently stand at 9.8 degrees. This is provisional up to the 30th, up to yesterday, which is anomaly, still of over 5 degrees above average. And of course, this is way above the all-time December centering temperature record of 8.1, which we had twice in 1934 and 1974. So in terms of England and Wales, this is easily going to smash the all-time warmest December on record. It has been cooler for Scotland. We will get the full stats in very soon from Hadley at the UK Met Office, so I'll be able to see how much difference the cooler, the cooler month that we've had over Scotland has made to the overall UK-wide temperature figure. But for England and Wales, anyway, it has been a massively warmer than average month by around 5 degrees Celsius. Now, we're taking some very warm air up into the Arctic at the moment. So this is the stochastic pressure chart from the GFS model for today. We've got these southerly winds drawing warm air advection up into the North Pole. Have a look at the upper air temperatures from the North Pole down. So this is centering the North Pole in the middle of the chart, if you like, just here. Excuse me, again. We've got these warmer upper air temperatures, or these very warm upper air temperatures, being drawn northwards right into the centre of the North Pole. That is very unusual to see the warmth extending that far northwards, with something like around 25 to 30 degrees above average at the moment across the middle of the North Pole, with this warm air advection being pushed northwards. And of course, the effect this has is to draw cold air south, and that cold air being drawn southwards down into the east of Europe. So you see these cold upper air temperatures plunging down through Western Russia into the east of Europe, and particularly going at the moment into the southeast of Europe. So Greece and Turkey has turned very cold. These cold upper air temperatures will eventually, in a couple of days, be drawn in towards Scandinavia and more eastern and northeastern parts of Europe. But at the moment, it's in the west of Russia and down into the southeast. But that really is quite incredible, that extent of warmth that is currently going on in the very top of the North Pole. So what happens when you get this warm air advection is that you build a ridge, and that ridge is going to build across Western Russia through into New Year's Day. And then as we go on into the weekend, we see that high pressure across the north and west of Russia settling down in towards Scandinavia. We remain, however, with these areas of low pressure driving in off the Atlantic. So the cold air is going to be more or less kept at bay, I think. This is the extent of the cold air over the weekend across most of Europe, backing off into west of Russia as well. So it's very, very cold upper air temperatures. By then it is beginning to warm up a little bit across Greece and Turkey, but it is still quite cold down there. But notice the west of Europe, the UK, Ireland, France, Spain, Portugal, generally keeping these mild upper air temperatures. Nature and the weather always does a balancing act. So where one place is warm, another place will be cold. So these are the GFS ensembles for Istanbul, and just look how cold it is there at the moment compared to average. This is Turkey, of course, so the red line here is where the upper air temperatures will be expected to be in Istanbul at this time of year. And that's where they are, below minus 10 Celsius at 850 HPA. Very, very cold air being drawn down there. There's precipitation as well, so no doubt it's really quite snowy, I would have thought, down across Istanbul. As we go through the first week of January, those upper air temperatures do recover a little bit, so it will turn less cold across Greece and Turkey through the course of next week. This is for Helsinki. At the moment, still warm, because that's where we've got the warm air advection pushing northwards at the moment into the North Pole. But well, it's not going to take very long before that ridge that's going to build in response to this warm air advection starts to pull the cold air west out of Russia. So by the time you go through the first week of January, again, dates on the bottom chart, you see that it is turning really quite cold. Upper air temperature going down to minus 15 at 850 HPA. I'm not sure that's all that unusual for them, actually, that extent of cold, but it's certainly colder than they've been used to so far this winter. And as far as our GFS ensemble suite is looking this morning, I'll just very quickly show you that. We are going down closer to average, I think, through the early part of January. So, again, the red line here is the 30-year temperature average. And you know, I've been showing you these charts all month, and we've been extraordinarily sustaining above average temperatures throughout the whole of December, way above average. And you see that generally we are much closer to the red line over the coming couple of weeks. So we have got a cooling trend here. That's probably, at least in part, due to this cold air that is being developed across the north and the east Europe. We're not going to tap into that cold air, I don't think, except for maybe a few hours on Wednesday in the east. But just generally, it's lowering the pattern, if you like, is lowering the temperature across our side of the northern hemisphere. So we'll actually bring colder air in from the Atlantic. And it is at least partly in response to what's going on across Western Russia and into Scandinavia. But more importantly than the temperature, is going to be precipitation. Again, a huge number of rainfall spikes here through the course of next week. That goes on into the second week of January as well. I think we'll be in for an exceptionally wet couple of weeks starting 2016. So I'm afraid that it is very likely, I'm almost certain, there will be more flooding, misery for some parts of the country going into the new year. Very, very bad news for them. Have a quick look at the generic charts for the next couple of weeks. This is the GFS for Monday. So I've got this battle going on. The high pressure over Scandinavia is trying to bring these cold easterly winds in from West Russia and Scandinavia, but the low pressure in the Atlantic is trying to keep us in this milder Atlantic driven flow. And we're actually within generally mild air here, although cold air is just starting to be drawn into the far northeast of Scotland. Through the course of the first part of the week, that cold air does get closer to us. I think Wednesday could be quite a cold day in the east. Maybe temperatures just 2 or 3 degrees. Probably the coldest day that we've had so far this winter. But that's very quickly going to be swept away, and as we go through into the second half of next week, really just turn very, very unsettled. Look at these purple blue colours coming in across the country, and some very low pressure readings turning up here. So we've got a central low pressure reading of 965 millibars across the north of Scotland. That's really, really low pressure, and that no doubt would be fueling more bouts of heavy rain across the country. So a little bit like what happened in January 2014, where it's just relentless rain throughout. I'm hoping it's not going to be that bad, but these low, very low pressure readings are a bit ominous, really, certainly in terms of the rain coming up for the first week to 10 days. This is day 10, Sunday the 10th of January, and still very unsettled with low pressure dumbbelling around the country, bringing bands of rain and no doubt some fairly strong winds as well. Beyond that, the GFS does get a little bit more interesting. It starts to try and build some pressure over Scandinavia, over Greenland I should say, and keeps cold air in over Scandinavia. So we have got quite a cold plunge here, quite a lot of cold air to the north and the east. However, we've still got this area of low pressure in the Atlantic, drawing up warmish air anyway from the tropical Atlantic. So there's quite a battle going on there. There's probably a weather front strung out a bit like that, no doubt producing copious amounts of rain. But watch this space as we go through into January. I think we could be trending colder throughout the month. We'll have a look at CFSV2 in a moment, but it keeps this battle going, the latest run of the GFS, right up to the very end. This is the 16th of January, and you see it's still that idea that the low pressure is trying to bring the warm air up from the southwest, but got this cold air still sitting across Scandinavia. It's a very impressive cold pool. Looks like it's going to be maintained across Scandinavia for the foreseeable future. And we're in a battleground UK scenario. Subtle adjustments will put us on the colder side of things there. So we do have to watch out for what's going on through the course of January. As I say, I'll show the CFSV2 in a second. ECMWF for the next couple of weeks shows low pressure again around the country. On Monday, the high pressure post Scandinavia is trying to bring that cold air in from the east, but is more or less unable to. However, we do bring in a few hours of colder air into the east on Wednesday. That could be our coldest day of the winter so far across the east of the country anyway, but it's soon pushed away by these areas of low pressure coming in off the Atlantic through the second half next week. And again, some very, very low pressure with this at the end of next week, with pressure going down. This has a central pressure to the west of Scotland of 955 millibars. So that really is exceptionally low with the pressure. And we keep these areas of low pressure going up to day 10. Very unsettled conditions, bouts of rain coming across the country, all while it's Atlantic driven, so generally fairly mild. This is how the CFSV2 is seeing things playing out over the next month. So this is for the coming week, first of all, 500 millibar heights for the coming week, the 31st of December through to 6th of January. It's showing that we've got a ridge across Scandinavia, of course, as we know, into western Russia, with a trough in the Atlantic. So we stay on the mild side of things, just jet stream is going a bit like that. Cold air is very, very close, but just about held at bay through the coming week from the Atlantic. Week 2, which is the 7th to the 13th of January, places back low pressure right over the top of us. We've got a lot of blocking setting up here over the top of the pole, and we've also got ridging down to the south, so it's quite a complicated pattern. We're bringing the air still in off the Atlantic, but I think with so much blocking over the top of the pole, this could be entrenching colder air into this trough of low pressure. What we really need is to take this ridge across Spain and Portugal and send it that way, send it towards Bermuda, to really start to lock into a colder pattern. But with so much blocking over top of the pole, I would have thought there would be colder air beginning to get entrenched into this trough of low pressure, but sitting right over the top of the country. Week 3, which is the middle part of January, 14th through to the 20th, looks like this. Again, we have a lot of blocking here up over top of the pole. I'm not sure how all this blocking is forming, because we've got a very cold stratosphere at the moment. There's no real sign of the southern stratospheric warming either, but you can get blocking over the pole even without a southern stratospheric warming. That's the sort of thing that the CFSV2 is going for. Trough of low pressure by then has moved into central parts of Europe, and this ridge across Spain and Portugal is sort of ridging into all of the blocking. So the ridge is going a bit from south to north and from north to south. I think the upshot is probably that we're being placed on the colder side of things here. We will be starting to draw in colder air from the north as that trough exits to the east. And then finally, week 4, 21st, 27th of January, again we see a lot of ridging through the Atlantic, through into Greenland, and this does look like it could be quite cold to me, with a deep trough over Scandinavia. I think that really could be opening the door to some northerly or northeasterly winds. So I reckon the CFS is trending colder here as we go through the month. The pattern is getting more, it's getting itself more and more into a scenario that would deliver colder air. So this winter may not be done and dusted by any means. Temperature anomalies are looking like this. The coming week turns out to be significantly milder than average. Just notice all of this cold here across the west of Russia. Week 2, again milder than average week coming up, but less so. Week 3 turns a little bit colder than average. Look at that, we're in those green colours for the first time in several weeks. It isn't a big freeze by any means, but it is colder. We've had it for quite a while, and it is a little bit colder than average. That's as the winds are going into the north, of course. And then week 4, going towards the end of January, near north to a little bit milder than average. That's a bit disappointing. I would have thought that, based on the 500 millibar heights, would be a colder week. Rainfall looks significantly wetter than average through the coming week. A very wet week coming up. Still wetter than average for week 2 as well. So we have got to watch out for flooding through this early part of January. And then things go closer to average through week 3 as it turns colder. And week 4 again is close to average. I think the CFS is definitely trending colder there through the course of January. It's getting itself into a pattern that could deliver, particularly around the middle and second half of the month, some colder shots from the north. I'm probably still not looking at a locked-in cold pattern, but it is showing a lot of northern blocking, which I'm quite surprised about. So we'll have to see how things are trending as we're going into January in terms of cold. But for the more immediate future, the concern, I think, will remain with rain, very wet conditions through the early part of the month. Unfortunately, there's going to be an increased risk of flooding across many parts of the country. And some very intense areas of low pressure are in there. Not necessarily all that stormy, but the central pressure of these low pressures is going to be unusually low. So I do think we could see some copious amounts of rain over the coming week or two, and then possibly trending a bit cold. We'll have a look at the Japanese model hopefully tomorrow for New Year's Day and see what that is showing for the coming month. Well, that's it for Gavs Weather for 2015. So again, thanks so much to everybody that's been coming back to the website and watching the videos over the year, and thanks to everyone for all your support over the past 12 months. Have a great New Year's Eve, and all that remains is to say Happy New Year, and see you next year. Bye for now.